转职是很多人的经验，但是当我们在写履历的时候，有的时候会让我们感到有点紧张，或者是没有自信。那到底有什么方式可以让面试官看到你的才能，而不会专注在工作经验不足呢？ Hello， 欢迎来到 Executive Plus 主管双语沟通力的 podcast。我们希望带给大家最实用的沟通工具，包括了成功人士对全球市场的分享、职场英语的技能、跨文化沟通技巧与其他能帮助您成为出色领导者的工具。Hi, I'm Sherry, founder of Executive Plus. As a language trainer and certified coach, I've trained hundreds of managers from Fortune 500 companies such as Dior, Google, Deloitte, and Yahoo.
And I'm Nick, Director of Communication Strategy at Presentality. I've helped startups raise millions of US dollars in funding and train the executives of publicly listed companies to present on the global stage.
Welcome to the Executive Plus podcast,
where you can take your communication and language skills from good to great. Hey everybody, welcome back to an Executive Plus podcast. Today, we resume our discussion on what to do about your CV or resume. And we want to cover something quite important because this is something Sherry and I have done quite a bit, which is how do you jump careers? Or how do you change your career path and make it sound feasible on a resume or to a new employer?
那说到转职，那其实我个人有非常多的经验。So I don't know if you guys know， 我刚开始我是会计系，然后我又跳到了 fashion marketing. So actually my first job is not accounting. My first job was as a sales associate on the sales floor at Burberry. And then I changed my job to an financial entity controller in a bank.So absolutely completely different. And then I changed my job as a educator. So 我从大概 sales 一直从业务到了 accountant 会计师，一直到了现在就是做教师啊，还有 trainer. So completely different. And yeah, I have a lot of experience in this area for sure.
Yeah, I'm definitely right there with you. Actually, I've explored very, very different types of careers. As a history major in college, I also worked as a computer programmer for several years, both in college and after graduating. Decided that's really not a career path that I enjoy. Tried teaching when I first arrived in Taiwan. Again, found that kids are very cute, but not how I want to spend my time. But I enjoyed teaching adults. But that also quickly shifted from just a language focus to actually working on certain mindsets. Like, for example, building brands, which I spent several years transforming OEM, ODM factories in Taiwan into actual global brands.And now working with entrepreneurs and helping them raise venture capital money, I've definitely seen a line of transferable skills that I've had to take from one career to the next. But if you looked at my background purely on a resume, it would not seem to make a lot of sense how you go from computer programmer to now helping entrepreneurs raise venture capital money.
所以当然我觉得刚刚 Nick 讲到一个重点，就是当我们在转换跑道的时候，你可能自己会心里想说，我会不会经验不足，我没有办法去印证我下一个工作的机会。但是很重要的一点是 you gotta focus on your transferable skill. 你的 skill set 什么样是可以transfer 从 old job to your new job, your old industry into your new industry.Now,
one of the reasons that we wanted to talk about this topic is because as there are more opportunities to get into international companies, one thing that you'll find is that international, more specifically American companies, are open to this kind of career shift, industry shift.I know that in Taiwan or Asian companies in general, they like to see longer-term experience in a single field in a single industry. But for a lot of people who are considered joining the international workforce, you will find that there are people in the company with backgrounds, either education or career backgrounds, that are really not that related to what they do now, but they have found strong ways to take that previous experience and bring it into their new workforce. And that kind of outside perspective, or that different look at an industry, is often very welcome in especially tech companies or startup companies, especially international companies.
所以其实真的你想要转职或转换跑道的时候 don't be afraid, because it's absolutely very natural. 你做一件事情才知道你喜不喜欢，你发现你不喜欢，那不是你真的想要， that's not your career path, 那你当然可以转职。 So today we're gonna take you guys through a few steps on how do you actually write your CV for your next job when you don't actually have a lot of experience for that particular job. So we're going to focus on the first thing that you need to figure it out. 那这个我们也常常说，你一定要做你的功课，也就是在这个工作你想要申请的这个工作，它到底需要什么样的 skills， 它需要什么样子的 experience. So this is like definitely first step.
So let's take a quick case of where someone wants to move from two positions that would be fairly different. And this is just an extreme case. Let's say someone wants to go from accounting job into a sales manager role. So in the first case, as Sherry pointed out, your goal would be is understanding specifically what kind of job responsibilities the company looks for in that role. Now, if you've listened to previous episodes, we've given a list of resources of places that you can look, but quickly is just going on any kind of HR bank or job-seeking website that gives detailed information. Glassdoor is a great one. ZipRecruiter is another one. Indeed.com. All of these places tend to have quite extensive lists of what generalized role requirements have, and of course the company will always have a list of roles and responsibilities. So deeply understanding those, like in the case of a sales manager, persuasion is a key one, the ability to present in front of clients. Strong people skills, whether it comes to negotiation or just the ability to build long-term relationships. And definitely problem-solving skills, because not every client is going to be a smooth, do service, get money transaction.
Alright, 所以我们现在知道了这个 sales manager 这个 position 需要什么样的 skill set, right? Being persuasive, strong people skill, problem-solving skill. 我们现在知道了，那我们现在第二步就来看看自己，我们本身我们的经验有哪些是可以 transferable 的。So what transferable skills you actually already have? 那如果今天我们是 accountant, let's say, 我是会计师，那我的会计师有什么样子 skill 它是可以 transfer 到一个sales manager. 那 as an accountant, 你一定有 problem solving skill, right? Problem solving is number one. 再来就是 you worked with others in the high stress environment very well. Accounting definitely is a lot of stress. It's a lot of, you have to deal with financial books all the time. So you have a lot of regulation. There's a lot of stress in that environment. So two things that you came up with is problem solving and then working with others well in a high stress environment.
The key to taking an account of your own skills that are potentially transferable is also looking a little bit beyond the simple skill set that gets listed out. So, for example, when it comes to working with others in a high-stress environment, that might be listed under a sales manager position. It may not. Under an accountant, it's unlikely that that's going to be listed, but you can take a strong accounting of what you do well in your current job and then look at a layer below. So when it comes to, again, strong people skills, that usually includes relationship building, persuasion, negotiation, all of these fall under that. So when you're looking at your own skill set, it's also about pulling those apart. Now that you've listed out the potential transferable skills, you start to build them into your actual personal statement to talk about what skills that you have and how they may work in a new working or a new career path. So again, the example that we gave earlier was an accountant trying to move over to a sales position.
所以接下来呢，我们第三个步骤，也就是在我们的 personal statement 的时候，我们一定要 highlight 你这个 transferable skill。那在我们的讲义当中，我会提供这种，比如说你要做这种 career change 的一个 template。 第一个部分呢，我们最好当你要 career change 的时候，我们最好一定要 highlight 一下你的 personal statement. So let's say, again, using our example, you could say this.As an accountant, I regularly discuss budget cuts with managers and convince them of the best way to remain within a budget despite their reluctance. This had to be done with tact and firm hand. This will be the same mindset I bring into the sales role.
For example, if this person was an accountant in a company, they have to have the people skills. They have to discuss probably very sensitive topics or something that the managers above them don't want to hear, right? They have goals, they have milestones they need to hit. And an accountant has, sometimes the poor job of knocking on the door and be like, spend less money.
Exactly.
But if you want to have a good working relationship, that has to be done well. Now, the reverse is, let's say that accountant works for an accounting firm. Well, then they actually work with the customers often directly, where they have to appease the customer while building out their accounting. And a lot of times the customer's mindset is, your job is to save me money. But maybe that's not always the case. They need to know how to manage customers.
Yeah, absolutely. 那其实我觉得在任何一个工作，这种 people skill 通常都是一个非常需要的 required, transferable skill. 因为不管你是在什么样的 department, 什么样的职业 people skill is really important. Communication skill, right? 你的能够跟人家沟通。所以我们可以想一下，你把 focus 放在这一些 skill set 上面。And then the last thing that you do,So step number 4 is actually list out these transferable skills. 所以我们通常会看到一个 personal statement 是第一个部分，那第二个部分就是这些 skill set. 所以我们不会马上进入你的 work experience, 而是我们会先看到你的这些 skill set. 你再把这些 skill set highlight, list them out first, and then we can go into the work experience.And
one of the key reasons you do this goes back to something I was talking about earlier, which is it's not always obvious what additional skills are necessary in your previous job that are transferable to the new job. And so working with them up front. A strong example of this is actually my own mother.When my mom was in her mid to late 40s, she decided to completely leave behind a career being a regional manager for a massive corporation in the US to go become a teacher. And one of the skill sets that she talks to me about over and over again from making that switch was not about having a love for children or being able to explain things in a clear manner, which are skill sets that are expected of a teacher. But it's not the children that she has a difficulty managing. She loves working with children. The difficulty that most of her colleagues have is how to talk to parents. Because a lot of parents have strong opinions about how their children should be taught, be treated, etc. But because my mom spent so long either managing stores and dealing with disgruntled customers, managing entire regions and having to work with different managers level, for her, dealing with parents who are more opinionated is smooth. It's something she did for most of her career. And so when her colleagues are often struggling, like, oh, the parents are upset, how do I deal with them? And then they get into arguments with the parents. My mom is just like, boom, customer service mode, I got this.
I see. Yeah, 所以其实当然我们不仅是在 CV 的时候你要知道该怎么去写，而是你在面试的时候，当然这个部分也是更重要。You really focus on that transferable skill. So if you guys definitely want to see like a template, we have it in our handout. 所以到我们的讲义就可以看到我们刚刚所讲这个 resume 的 template. So yeah, so I really hope you guys find this episode very useful, and we'll talk to you guys next time. Bye. 如果你喜欢我们的 podcast， 欢迎来追踪我们的主管英文 Executive Plus 的 Facebook。那也可以写信到我们的信箱 yourcareerplus@gmail.com。